Hey everybody, welcome back to AVIXA TV's live coverage of InfoComm 2023 here in Orlando, Florida. We are live from the show floor right now at the AVIXA Exchange live booth. The show floor just opened for the first time. We are so excited to see so many people flowing through the doors already. But if you're tuning in online, we are so grateful to have you in here as well. If you're in person, be sure to come stop by here at the booth. We've got a fantastic show for you today. I am one of your hosts, Ben Thomas.
And I am Samantha Powell. As Ben said, we have a wonderful panel today for you, and it's going to be another great show. We're going to start off with the great people at Crestron to talk about some of their most latest and greatest technology for conferencing and collaboration.
Then we're talking immersive experiences, one of the hottest topics, not only here at InfoComm, but in the AV industry as a whole.
And then we're going to finish up with a really great organization that's really focused on empowering women and getting more women in the forefront of the tech industry, and that's Gals in Gear. So I think it's ready. It's time to go start the show.
I think it's time. Let's do it.
Let's go. We're here again, AVIXA TV. It's a wonderful day. As you said, the show just opened, all the booths are done, and it's an amazing experience to be here. How are you feeling?
Look, I'm excited. You can't get me out to Orlando and not get me fired up. Had a chance to go to some great parties and events last night. Woke up, loving life, excited to see what's happening on the show floor. It's already met my expectations, and we're, what, 2 minutes in?
I know, it's amazing. So let's go ahead and kick things off. So today, we're joined by Richard Sesson and Lauren Simon from Crestron. So thank you both for being here today.
Thank you for inviting us.
Awesome. So obviously with COVID, it changed the entire landscape of how we work. Now everything is obviously hybrid and workplace and remote. Tell us how your solutions have really enhanced that experience of remote and hybrid work.
So there's a couple of things, right? One of the big things that everyone thinks about is the home experience, and that's absolutely something that you have to take into consideration. But what happens when they come back into the office? The office isn't being used the same way it was before. What used to be a dedicated space could now have 3 or 4 different functions in the course of a week, depending on who's in the office. Making sure employees have the right space to come into, they know where they're going, they have all the amenities that they did at home. And so what we're working on with our technologies is how do we bring all that together to maybe use what they have or reinvent their spaces to accommodate for these things, like bringing in desk scheduling solutions, the ability to create changing flexible rooms with the single touch of a button, so that way there's less time between changing those spaces. So now they can be used for just about anything.
Well, Rich, what it really comes down to is ecosystem, right? You talk about ecosystem in an office, ecosystem in the house, a product ecosystem, partner ecosystem, we could go on forever. But one of the things that I've really appreciated about Crestron is your investment into the product and partner ecosystem, right? Talk about how that ecosystem as a whole is so impactful to both, whether it's the hybrid, in-person, or remote experiences.
So, Ben, one of the things that really makes it so impactful for the user is having a consistent experience with interaction with their teams. So when you're on a call, you want to have a situation where I'm not looking at a wide shot of a room all the time. I want to be able to look at the individual who's speaking. So it's still having that one-on-one connectivity with a system that allows you to also see the entire room as well, just like you would in a real meeting space. And by having the proper ecosystem in place, you're able to accomplish that with the Crestron solutions. You're able to choose a system that's going to meet the needs of the modern workplace that allows customers to have an equitable meeting experience so that they're comfortable having a conversation one-on-one like we are here without having to go and say, okay, I'm just looking at a guy far, far away in the bottom corner of the room and they're this big, and that's not
the most beautiful pixels you've ever seen.
It is. It's the nice, wonderful dot over there. I think that could be Samantha. I'm not sure, right? But having that situation where I can see Samantha, I can see Ben straight in the meeting when I want to, and yet I can look at the whole room and see the reactions from people and understand what's going on. And having that ecosystem that allows me to have those conferences is very important, but it goes beyond that. It's not just the meeting space that is there. It's also today's flexible workplace. Being able to book a desk, right? We have a new desk touch application that allows you to put a scheduling panel on the desk. You can use a QR code to book a room. You can do it remote. So you've got a lot of flexibility within that ecosystem that ties it all together from a simple desk to a room to an entire space to manage and monitor it all. And that's really the power of a good ecosystem.
And it's definitely been challenging, I would say, for a lot of organizations to now switch to having their employees back into the office. So what are like some of the top things that you can, help and suggest that they look forward to doing and incorporating into their spaces, considering they had, the older technology, and now like what things do they really need to focus on?
Well, I think the most important thing that any organization needs to focus in on is making it easy for people to transition back into the office. And if they've changed their environment from working in I have a dedicated cube, which by the way, as a reference point, cubes didn't exist till the 80s. So everyone's like, this is all major change. Actually, no, the open work environment existed well before, and now we're kind of migrating back to it. But how do you make it easy for that modern workplace to be effective? And that's what people have to ask, is how do I evolve my operation to accommodate it? Scheduling a desk, hoteling, swapping spaces quickly and easily. That's the systems you need to look at to put things in place. And then how do I actually see if people are using it, right? Maybe I booked the desk, but I don't come in. Okay, so someone else could have used that desk. So now you need a check-in feature. And that's one of the things we've put in with our Desk Touch application. You can literally walk into the desk, okay, I'm here. You're not relying on an occupancy sensor. You're not relying on someone who's going to remotely say, yes, I'm here, but I'm not actually there. You physically go in, you confirm you're there. Now you're monitoring and managing my space utilization. So from a company perspective, I really see what's going on. I can see that my people are coming back, and they are utilizing the space. I get real metrics on how the rooms are being used, how the desks are being used, and that's an important thing, is what does it really mean to come back to the workspace? You want to add to that?
I was going to add to that a little quick. We had our Modern Work Summit a few weeks ago, and we had a great panel discussion talking about this exact topic. And one of the things that surprised us was everyone thinks everyone's coming back into the office because they can collaborate. They want to talk with people, and that is part of it. But a lot of people want to come back into the office because they want to work. They want a dedicated space. So understanding what the environment is that you're trying to create within your organization. What do your employees need? What do you need to be functional and productive throughout the course of your day, your week, your month? Those conversations need to be had to understand how you revitalize your space.
Well, Lauren, I want to follow up on that question because you bring up a good point, right? It's about what the end user is looking for and wanting, right? And more than ever, I would say in our industry right now, there is a renewed focus on the end user. What does the end user want to do? What does their product ecosystem look like? What does their day-to-day look like? Talk about the end user and how they've really helped inspire the product design process, especially the new stuff that you guys just put out.
Absolutely. I mean, it's they inspire everything that we do, right? If the end users don't want to use or handle our products, why would we build them, right? So we have to take into consideration what they're looking for. And it really is those conversations. Every organization is different. So the key for us is to find that common thread. What's the root of what they're looking to do that can work in multiple different types of applications? Something like the Flex Pods that we launched a couple weeks ago as well, that's got an ability to either be in a dedicated room or it can be in a movable space. So trying to create products that help them solve multiple needs that they can standardize on equipment throughout the office. And if things change, they've got the capability to do that. That's one of the big things that we're seeing is some of our end users don't really know what they want. They're not quite sure. They're still trying to figure this out. So they're also coming to us looking for help us figure out what to do without getting sucked into having to do the entire space at once. They want to make sure that they're making the right investments in what Rich was talking about with understanding utilization. They can start to make those smarter decisions.
And in terms of security and privacy, right? That's obviously a major concern right now in the digital world. So what does Crestron do, or what are you able to do to address those concerns?
So security is one of the highest priorities we have as a company. All of our products need to be secure. And depending on the level of security, we get our products JITC certified so that the government can use them in their facilities. We have our products that use SSH, TLS, they do multi-factor authentication. We have been on the forefront of security for protecting devices and preventing unsecure access to systems. We realize the importance of that, and we have been really always working on and expanding our capabilities and what our products' security levels are, and continuing to make sure that they are further and further secure with every new product we make, so that you're not going to get that IoT backdoor sneak-in attack through our products. And we do a lot to prevent that, and the incredible amounts of securities we are putting in, especially like our new TST-10A, for example. That panel is just launched with multi-factor authentication. It's got all the alphabet of 802.1x security protocols built into it. It's a completely secure wireless panel for customers to use, and that's a brand new product we launched here at InfoComm. Actually, we showed it at Masters. We were showcasing it here and launching it at this event. Phenomenal product. So we take security incredibly, it's an incredibly important aspect of everything we do. So that's you can't let that go by on anything.
Well, and Rich, it's interesting because one of the best ways to ensure security is to ensure that products are being used as intended, right? That they're not being used as gateways for other things. But a lot of that has to do with product training, whether that's through the channel, through the integrator, or direct to the end user. And I've got to say I'm biased, but there are very few companies that do as well as Crestron does with channel training and end user training. Talk about the importance of that for you guys.
Absolutely. You know, Ben, we have a phenomenal training program. In 2022, we trained 24,000 people,
Wow.
which is a phenomenal number of folks who learned about our technology through online training, interactive online, and in-person education. In fact, 2 weeks ago, we were in Madrid, Spain, and we had a 3-day event that was our Modern Work Summit, our Masters training event, and it was a phenomenal education experience because you had designers, programmers, end users all in the same space, learning information about technology and how to be effective with that technology from very different vantage points. Everything from how do I design a secure system, how do I program effectively, to how do I want to use a system from an end user's perspective. And that open conversation, that sharing of ideas, the networking that takes place during an in-person event like InfoComm is huge, right? It's how do you make our industry better by having open conversations to help each other succeed.
That's wonderful. So where do you see the world of, yes, conferencing, collaboration, and how can your solutions, help push us forward to whatever is next?
I'll give that one to you.
So it's all about flexibility, it's all about interoperability, and it's all about creating an environment that is able to change as your organization's needs do. Where we were 5 years ago is very different than where we are today, and it's going to be different than where we are in 2 or 3 more years as we start to understand what are the traffic patterns, how are people utilizing our offices. So ensuring that the technology that they put in not only works for now, but is future-proof or investment for later on and changes need to be made, but that ecosystem conversation works really well within the products also. If you work within an ecosystem, it gives you more flexibility, more capability to make those changes down the line and add to your environment as new things come out. So that's really where, for us, it's all about that, providing that flexibility to our customers, making sure that they have what they need for today and tomorrow, and then continuing to provide new products based on their feedback, based on their needs, to help drive them into the next level.
Well, Lauren and Rich, we appreciate you kicking us off. Day 1 of InfoComm. You guys are our first guests officially after the show started. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you very much.
Our pleasure. Thank you.
Happy Info.
Well, look, check it out. InfoComm is not the only event happening this month. There's also an event called Upstream happening next week. Take a peek.
Well, Dan and Lorenzo, thank you for joining me. Dan, would love to start with you. Can you tell us a little bit about what is Upstream?
So Upstream is a new event from AVIXA. We are working with a partner called the IABM, and essentially we're trying to bring the worlds of broadcast media technology and professional AV and IT together. Enterprises increasingly want to make their meetings, their town halls, post-COVID. They want to make these hybrid meetings more exciting, more appealing to their employees. The people who know how to do that are broadcast people, and the people with the technology are the broadcast manufacturers. So, bringing our members on the AVIXA side, the end users of the technology and their channel partners, together with IBM members who are the suppliers of the technology.
I think the big driver has been the pandemic, which has forced everyone to adapt to remote-only communications. I think now we're seeing more of a move towards hybrid communications, but it's not just that. I think more businesses are using video and media as a means to communicate to employees and consumers as well. So I think media technology is becoming more important, more universally as well. And I think previously these two fields were distinct and they were separated. So of course, as they come together, there are some gaps that need to be resolved. So I think it's good to have an event that brings together these two communities to talk about them and to collaborate more.
And Dan, can you tell us when and where is Upstream happening this year?
Sure. Yeah. So the first event, what we hope will be the first of many. It's on Monday, June 26th. It's at the Queen Elizabeth II Centre in London, and that's a very appropriate venue because actually it is a conference center, but it has a lot of broadcast technology embedded into it because it's right opposite the Houses of Parliament in London. It has its own broadcast studio downstairs, so there are a lot of there's a streaming infrastructure in place, which means we can actually use the venue at least partly to showcase what the technology is capable of. So it seemed like a logical place to start.
Last question, and we'll get you both out of here on this. Lorenzo, start with you. What are you most looking forward to with this event?
I think I'm looking forward to hearing some, real-world examples and case studies on convergence, some discussion on the topic. So learning is my first priority, I would say, as well, of course, with networking. It's always good to meet new people, particularly if they come from a different sector.
If we can expose these enterprise users and their partners to the possibilities of broadcast and media technology, and we can expose the vendors of that technology to these enterprise workflows and use cases, then I think what we're going to see is a real significant evolution, potentially quite quickly, in the way that our side of the industry on the AVIXA side is served by these media tech vendors.
Well, we're looking forward to it. June 26th in London, the very first Upstream. Dan, Lorenzo, thanks so much for the time, and we'll be seeing you soon.
Welcome back to the show today. We've got kind of a crowd that's gathered over here. We want to say hi to all you guys out there watching out here. But this next segment is one that I'm really looking forward to. We don't always get to hear directly from our end user community, especially when it comes to things like immersive experiences. So wanted to dive right in and introduce our next guest, and that's Rainey Fu over at Spotify. Rainey, thanks so much for coming on.
Welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
Rainey, like I said, we love hearing voices from our user community. So if you would just introduce yourself a little bit and talk about how you kind of have gotten into the role that you're in.
Yeah, for sure. So I started my career and background in brand content when I was like 14. It was a very young age, but I remember I was seeing what it was on screen in Times Square and billboards, and I know that one day I would love to create a billboard for commercials that's right where everyone gets to see a big piece of what I'm doing. And from then on, I slowly worked towards having being in the events company in Singapore. That's where I'm from, and the events company was working a lot on Shanghai and Beijing, Singapore events, and during then it was such a huge market in this industry, and that's how I got into like motion graphics and broadcast design back in Savannah College of Art and Design. That's where I started from, and merging both of them, events background together with broadcast design, has gotten me to where I am right now. And very happy to say I'm at Spotify at this moment, and I've been doing a lot of that.
That's exciting. So. We're all familiar with that company, I think. So what would you tell somebody who wants to enter into this field? It sounds like you got here through various paths or so, but what would you tell somebody who's interested in this?
Right, yeah. So one thing that you can work towards getting into this field is really focusing on what you're looking for as your goal, and getting all the opportunities that come your way, and be able to work on the fly, and also having that production mentality of teamwork is very important. So one thing my mom always tell me, you are not a noun, you're a verb. You're not a founder or an entrepreneur, you're a maker. You're a person that does things. So if you come in with the mindset of creating and helping people around you, be in a team, I think that's what this business is all about. Like the people, it's a people business, and if everyone loves working with you, you will get more of that coming towards you, and slowly you craft your way into this field and into events, and that's how I got into where I am.
That's awesome.
Rainey, you've had a chance to work on a number of different amazing projects, but one project that stands out really above a lot of them is a recent Spotify House installation that you did. Talk to us a little bit about how your thought process from just the inception of the project all the way to the execution happened.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I would love to talk about that. So that happens just last week, where Spotify House is an event space that we bought in Nashville for a 4-day event in conjunction with Country Music Festival. So last week was our 50th anniversary for Country Music Festival, and Spotify House was always one of the biggest activation and events that we give to fans that are big in country. And for me to get into that, to be the campaign art director of it, it was such a big blessing too, because of my background in motion graphics and events. So I'm always focusing and specializing in events in my team. And that helps me to craft this idea of creating a neon city, a neon theme for this Spotify House, because that merges between the traditional country music as well as the modern country music. So you're creating that kind of like nightlife vibrancy of modern, but also having that background of honky-tonk bars. And I don't know whether everybody here is like a big country music fan, but we also invited a ton of 40 different artists, 70 different artists, including Reba McEntire, Diplo, Sam Hunt, Kelsey Ballerini. So they're all at an event last week where I was the art director for that campaign.
That's very impressive, and I like a lot of those artists that you named. I can get down with a little country myself. I don't know.
I need to crack out my cowboy hat right now.
Some boots with the fur, because it almost sounds like one of those artists is there too. So those type of in-person experiences, those brand experiences don't have to be limited just to in-person, right?
Yeah.
So what would you say is key to creating an effective digital brand experience? Not, it doesn't just have to be in person, but also, digitally speaking.
Right. Digital. So Spotify, first of all, is a digital first brand as well. So it helped me to craft out this experience that I have right now. And one big thing about digital first experience is you have to be aware of the target that you're going for. And that includes like going on TikTok, for example, which I know it sounds very foreign to me too. I know to a lot of people here with me that TikTok is such a new Gen Z thing that people do. But also I always believe in personal opinion is not a business strategy. So we constantly do that, having that fans first or consumers first experience is very crucial. And also the other point is consumers and creators are it's such a merging of the two different and blurring the lines of both aspects of it. So it's very important to create, say, like an event or a digital first where you engage the audience and the consumers into your event or your experience. So that goes into, say, Wrapped that we did last year, end of last year. So Wrapped is always a big party that we throw to fans every single year to show their data that's on platform. But at the same time, for what we did for Wrapped last year, we had an experience where people come in to play with us instead of just throwing out an event where they look around and be in it, but they're part of integrating and experiencing it as well. So that's a very big part of digital first.
That's awesome.
Well, Rennie, last question. You mentioned when you were younger being inspired by technology in Times Square. A lot of those technologies originated for the first time and were revealed here at InfoComm. What are some of the technologies that you're seeing today that you're hoping to inspire people to do what you're doing?
Right, absolutely. You know, another big part of my childhood too is esports. So knowing that esports live here at InfoComm is such a big part of this year's focus, it's like mind-blowing to me because I grew up playing like Dota, League of Legends, like Overwatch, and you know, in Asia it's big, and then now that it comes to this part, and I'm so amazed and just mind blown by the technology that comes with that. And also the other part, because I'm always a visual aesthetic person, you know, art direction is my thing, right? So seeing how big and how much technology has changed from back, you know, Times Square era when I was 7 years old to what I am seeing all the big screens right here is just the pixel sharp technology and devices is just like spectacular to me.
Well, Randy, we appreciate you coming on the show today. We always love hearing voices from users in the community, especially someone like you who's got so much influence in creative design. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me.
Show.
And another conversation we have all the time recently is about AI, generative AI. How are we using it in different places? I did an episode on that a few months ago. Check it out. How do you think people should be responding in the creator community, you know, that are a little bit more afraid of kind of the something from nothing AI tools?
Well, the concept artists are terrified right now. And I'll be honest, they should be. I know people in the industry, like film industry, animation industry, that have used AI to do concept art. One thing that I think people need to be aware of, though, which I talked to a couple of these people and I don't think they realize it, none of that's copyrightable, right? Nothing you create with AI, you own. So anybody can use it. So no major industry can use this to actually create content that they're going to really be able to make their own, which is huge, right? So if I create a book, say, from AI, and I sell it, anybody can go sell that book, right? It's public domain, essentially. There are no laws preventing anybody else from using that. So as far as artwork that is protected is only going to be created by humans, at least right now. So that's huge. Knowing that that the only work that can be protected lets you know that jobs aren't going away on that side. Are some jobs going to be affected on maybe other aspects where people don't care so much? For example, like blog writers. Yeah, this could change how people do blogs, for example. I know I've heard a number of people talking about how they essentially just use Jarvis to take articles that already exist and rewrite them. I know plenty of people that are doing things like this. And I've experimented working with AI and writing articles and things like that. It's definitely not good quality all the time. And there's definitely a lot of editing. It's more shifting kind of the job. It's like more strategy based, more editor based. But yeah, it's going to affect jobs to a certain extent. You have to accept that, right? If you have something that can produce, that can then be edited, it's going to affect the number of people you need to do something. It doesn't mean that there won't be new jobs created out of that, which I think is what people need to keep in mind, is whenever there's a new technology, new jobs are created. For example, you couldn't be an influencer 20 years ago. That did not exist. There was no such thing as a YouTube star, an influencer, or anything like that. So I think from that aspect, what jobs could come out of that could be way cooler than what you're doing right now. And I think keeping that in mind is more important than, oh, I might lose my job. For me, that's coming from like a scarcity mindset, being worried about, oh, we have to stay in these old styles of things, opposed to being like, what can this actually do for us? What does this actually open my time to do now? Instead of having to sit there and plug away at 2,000 words, what if those 2,000 words could just appear and then I can go ahead and start editing them? Because sometimes just getting that first pass is the most difficult as a creator in anything. And also, it's not like AI can go in there and do like a master edit, right? We aren't seeing something of the equivalent of like Shakespeare being written, like truly like in depth, truly understanding. You can't get true tech, for example. Like you can't really have an AI write about tech and what's going actually on in there to a truly at this moment time, right? It's going to have errors. It's going to have issues. Even chat has a warning saying this could be inaccurate. So there's there's a lot going on, but I don't think a fear-based approach to this is the right approach. I think saying, where's this going to take us and how can this benefit my work and make me better is probably a better and more beneficial to that person. What are you doing now that this can then empower you to go do more of or branch out of or explore more? How can you grow yourself with AI opposed to how is this going to hamper?
So I have to say, I'm really excited about our next guest. I've really enjoyed learning about this organization. It is Gals in Gear, and we are joined today with the wonderful Amy DeLouise. So thank you so much for joining us. I want you to really talk about it, but just a little bit of the background, of what I like most about it is that you say you're not you're not just a label, you're a movement in efforts to help promote women in tech and diversify that industry and give women a voice and a platform to speak to. So if you could, tell us all about Gals in Gear and what it is that you guys do.
Sure. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. We're so excited to be here at the show, which is such a fabulous show. So I'm a little eager to get out there, but I'll talk to you guys first.
Definitely.
So I guess because there are a lot of engineers in the audience, I'll just say that Gals in Gear as an equation is that we want to build tequity, and that's a combination of visibility plus skills plus access. It's as simple as that. And we really started as a movement. I try to say we're not really an organization. There are lots of great membership organizations out there that are women in something, and we're not that. We're a community of women across many different disciplines, many different continents, and we've really come together to build this tequity hands-on, one person at a time, one organization at a time, one company at a time. And so I started it basically, I was in the ladies' room at a tech event, and I was like, why am I in here by myself? I need to call some women and bring in reinforcements. So that was really how it started, and we started with some small networking events, expanded that into some skill building opportunities, and expanded that further into a speakers bureau for visibility.
Fantastic.
Well, I love the vision, and I love some of the work that you've done, and I've actually had a chance to hear you speak a few times. And one of the things that I always love you talk about, and you mentioned it here as well, is actual skilling, right? So we talked about it a little bit yesterday with our recruiting panel, but one of the best ways to allow people to advance is to train and teach. Talk about some of the ways that you've seen that with people that are already in the industry and how you've been able to help upskill.
Sure. So we have a big focus on upskilling for women, and there's sort of two areas of that. One is that we've created a beta testing community. I think that one of the places where women, and particularly women of color, get left out is that they're not given those opportunities to be early adopters of new technology. Because, let's face it, somebody says, I know a guy, I'm going to send him the beta version of our software or hardware or whatever. So we want to say, I know a gal, and she would also like to be testing that new technology. So that's one way, so women can be upskilling themselves by being beta testers. And then the other thing is we have a leadership, emerging leaders program that we do that's quite intentional. And it's those skill sets that many of us who got into the industry did not get some kind of class in how to become a leader. That's not how we got here. So we provide some very hands-on training in negotiation skills, financial literacy, leadership styles and how that affects leading a team. These are all areas, brand development, these are all areas where we see leaders drop out of the pipeline if they don't have those soft skills.
And that's really important, just to have those skills, and that also gives you a sense of empowerment and confidence in everything. So once you've helped these women, I guess you would say tool in those areas, in what ways do you help give visibility to women in the AV industry?
Absolutely. So, I think it's very common for many people, not just women. A lot of people in our industry are actually introverts. I am actually a slightly extroverted by training introvert. So people don't necessarily put themselves out there to be on panels, quite frankly. And we also know by a lot of studies that we didn't have to do at Gals in Gear that women have a lot of other responsibilities at home, at work, et cetera, as caregivers. So, a lot of times they're not going to put themselves first. So we built a kind of an informal speakers network. And so, we say we know a gal. Instead of we know a guy who can speak on whatever tech topic, we know a gal who can speak on that topic. So that's a way people can partner with us too, is if you have some women in your company who are really knowledgeable on various areas of tech, let us know who they are. Because we want to reach out to them and make sure they're visible. And when you're visible, it helps move your career along. Let's face it, you network with people in a different way in the green room than you do on the show floor. So it's an important component of career advancement for women throughout media technology.
Well, you talked about partnerships with manufacturers, organizations, installers, things like that. That's probably the number one question that I hear all the time is, how can I help get involved with XYZ initiative? Let's ask the question, how can people get involved specifically with you?
Sure. So one of the things that we're all about at Gals and Gears, we don't talk about equity, we do it, right? And so we're really interested in partnering with any company who wants to do it. And so, like I said, if you have women in your company who have skills, great, make them visible to us. The other thing is make your products available to us. We make sure that women get their hands on the gear, so to speak. We have training sessions on various pieces of equipment and technologies that are coming out, so that's another way to partner with us. You can also sponsor our networking events and our leadership training. We also have a student program where we work with seniors in college to make sure they know what it's really like in the real world a little bit. So they do some actual production intensives with us. So there's a lot of ways that companies can partner with us. And frankly, sometimes they come to us with an idea and we say, okay, let's run with that. So we're very open to partnering and combining our efforts to make it a more equitable community.
And so what type of advice would you give to women who are either already in this field or interested in joining, this field, where they may feel like that they don't have that opportunity to speak up, and in this male-dominated, environment? Like, what advice would you give them?
Well, I think one of the great things about Gals and Gear is it's a very welcoming community. And so, find us on galsandgear.tv. Find us, Gals and Gear at Gmail, find us on any of the social channels, because we will find somebody to connect you with, to make you feel like you're part of this community. That was the thing about me being by myself in the ladies' room at a conference. I was like, where are my people? Everybody needs their tribe to support them and bring them along. And so we will help you connect. And men are part of our community as well, and we'll connect you to whoever needs to make you feel like you belong here. Because that, we talk about DEI, there's like a B sometimes, and we're all about the B. Like making sure that every person of every flavor feels like they belong in the media tech space.
Amy, well, thank you so much for coming on the show today. We love having you on AVIXA TV. It's time to go explore the floor. This is the end of the show for this first session right here. We're coming back a little bit later, talking more InfoComm on AVIXA TV this afternoon, but we've also got 2 shows tomorrow as well, and then 1 on Friday. We're looking forward to having you stick around with us. Be sure to watch this afternoon. Some great guests. That's a tease for you. We'll see you later.
We'll see you soon.
How do you do, fellow kids? My name is Nuri Nara, and today I'm here to tell you that school is cool. But for real though, with advances in AV tech and creativity, school has never been cooler. Which is why I want to take you to Denmark to visit Life Campus. It is one of the coolest education centers around, and it features some of the best AV equipment in the world. So come on, let's take a field trip. Located in the outskirts of Copenhagen, Life Campus is operated by the Life Foundation and was created by the Novo Nordisk Foundation, whose mission includes investment in scientific research and education.
Life Campus is a really nice building. The kids come out and they go like, wow, this is cool. Get them inspired, get them enthusiastic about being biologists or engineers.
They wanted to engage youngsters from the age of 6 up to 19, which in Denmark is from ground school to middle school to college.
Classes are offered as additional coursework for kids interested in science, engineering, and mathematics. And with the help of the team at Stoenborg, this campus is equipped with the most state-of-the-art AV technology, including a 360-degree auditorium nicknamed the Colossal Hall.
We create pictures, movies that have some relevance to a specific course that we're doing. We just finished 2 movies, one on insects and one on flight. But the idea is the kids come in and go like, wow, this is so cool, I want to go find an insect now.
The design team originally considered using LED panels in the auditorium, but eventually settled on a projection system to allow for better acoustics.
So in the 360 room, we have these panels around the whole place where we have absorption behind to make the acoustic works. There are speakers all around the whole place.
You can see behind you, so if you want to show them something, you need to make them turn around. And we do that with sound. In the corner you hear, oh, there's something crawling over there, and you look over there and oh, there's a little centipede.
With over 600 devices connected over 1,000 IP addresses, the AV over IP network at Life Campus was a huge undertaking for Anders and his team.
One of the things is having so much video content, audio, having more than 9 different protocols running on network, and it's extremely complex how that is put together. So we use NVX from Crestron to route video around it, and it's been a huge challenge because we're actually routing more than 20 gig of data around the rooms.
Typically, with that much equipment, you'd store it in a closet or somewhere out of sight. Instead, Life Campus decided to use the AV technology as an opportunity to educate.
The technical racks are actually set out for display. It's behind a glass wall, and if you crouch down a little at the correct spot, we have a graphic on that shows what each thing is. If I come by and there are kids there, I'll go like, something you want to know? And they go like, oh, what's that? And I can tell, well, that's an audio processor. And so it's a great little piece of thought going like, well, we have all this stuff, why not show it? And it fits perfectly with what life is all about.
Now, what did I tell you? That is one cool school. Now, if you excuse me, I'm going to go pop a 900 McFlurry off the stairs. My name is Nari Nara, and I'll see you at the next field trip. Hi.
If you're installing or troubleshooting network devices, you know that reliable operation depends upon the performance of the cabling and the network. With LinkIQ, you get cable testing from the world leader along with network testing. The LinkIQ can characterize the performance of your cable up to 10 gigabits per second and troubleshoot problems fast. When it's time to connect to the network, LinkIQ shows you the switch name and IP address, the port number, speed, and VLAN. It also shows the IP address of the switch and performs a connectivity test to an IP address of your choice. Plus power over Ethernet testing that includes a load test to make sure the power you need is really there. When you're done, store the results, then document it with Linkware, the industry's de facto standard. LinkIQ, cable testing you trust and network testing you need.
The Microflex Advance MXA902 integrated conferencing ceiling array is the first complete ceiling audio solution for AV conferencing. Because it mounts overhead, it provides more consistent sound quality throughout the room than an all-in-one soundbar mounted on the wall. The MXA902 has all three things needed for exceptional audio in small to medium-sized meeting spaces. First, there's an advanced array microphone with single-zone automatic coverage technology. It captures every participant in a 20 by 20 foot area right out of the box. Second, onboard IntelliMix DSP eliminates annoying echo and room noise and adjusts talker levels automatically. Everyone is heard clearly no matter where they sit. Finally, the MXA902 has a built-in wide dispersion loudspeaker that delivers robust sound throughout the room without the need for external speakers and amplifiers. Remote participants and program audio playback are easy to hear. With its revolutionary integrated design, the MXA902 is quicker to install than individual microphones, loudspeakers, and signal processors. One network cable with PoE Plus is all you need. The MXA902 integrated conferencing ceiling array is the ideal solution for AV conferencing in small and medium-sized meeting rooms. It's the fastest way to better sound.
The industry has evolved over the years. Analog to digital, isolated to network, server-based to cloud-based, but fundamental pains persist. Rolling out hundreds of rooms quickly and reliably is difficult, time-consuming, and expensive. Complex equipment frustrates staff, managers, and executives alike. The recent shift to hybrid offices has organizations considering replacement of outmoded systems. They're looking for simple, reliable, flexible, secure, and easy-to-budget video conferencing solutions. It's time for a totally new approach. It's time the AV industry met the Internet of Things. Introducing Conference Room as a Service, subscription-based products and services only from Wesco. A subscription that scales and works for your business. Together, with your preferred AV installer, we help you choose the right size system for your meeting spaces, small rooms, medium-sized rooms, and large conference rooms. Once you've chosen the size room you want to deploy, choose Zoom or Microsoft Teams and add options like bring your own device and a monitor if needed. Then choose how many rooms you want to add to your subscription. It's that easy. Once your AV integrator has installed and activated your equipment, your conference room as a service subscription has you covered with advanced replacement, an industry-leading warranty, live 24/7 world-class help desk support, and a portal for remote monitoring and service tickets. With this service, all rooms are online and ready to go once connected to the network. It's never been easier to deploy, monitor, and evolve your workplace technologies, all at an affordable price with easy payments.